Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Thursday, December 12th, after the Celtics win over Sam's Pistons. A dominant performance from the Jason Tatumless Celtics, 123-99, the final score. Jaylen Brown took on more of a facilitator role, and he was great. Derrick White and Kristaps Porzingis looked good. Derrick White was hot from three, but Payton Pritchard stole the show, 27 points, 10 assists. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about Luke. We'll talk about everything. Dominant win for the Celtics.
Yeah, except I was usually my usual instinct is to say right from the opening tip. Not right from the opening tip. They were awful from the opening tip.
No.
For the first 6 minutes of this game, I wanted to put my head in the microwave on the 9th floor because it was just ugly basketball. By the time the Celtics went to their bench with less than 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, they only scored 8 points. It was 8-8. It was a rock fight. But once they actually got rolling, they did not stop rolling. They were at the top of the hill, and somebody pushed them, and they could not be stopped. That's what it was. They completely baited the Pistons into trying to play their style of game, shooting a bunch of threes. The Pistons were 2 of 19 in the first half. They looked up at the scoreboard. They were down, I think, 15 at the break, and they just never were able to keep the pace with Boston from beyond the arc. And once the bench came in, the Celtics found their footing. They remembered how to play. Luke Cornett was excellent to start this game. He had a bunch of points early on, got them rolling. Payton Pritchard carried that momentum into the half. And then in the second half, it was just curtains. I don't know exactly what the closest Detroit got in the second half was, but it wasn't that close. I'm not sure it was ever within 12.
I can look and check, but the Pistons looked really awful in this game. They
didn't have Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, that's the angle you're gonna put.
They didn't have him. Tobias Harris was clearly upset. How do you expect them to perform in this kind of environment? Kate has no help.
The Pistons look terrible. They look like the team that lost 26 games in a row last year.
Sure did.
They were down by 15 going into the half, and that was their smallest gap of the half. So it literally only got worse from there. No. But let's just Payton Pritchard, man. This guy is boring to talk about at this point because it's just the norm, right? Like we could come on here and say, oh my God, Pritchard had 27 to 10. Pritchard made every three. Pritchard was making layups past everybody. He was doing everything. This is just who he is. I think people got to get used to the fact that Payton Pritchard is just this good now. Noah tweeted, oh, Payton Pritchard could be an all-star. Shit, maybe. Maybe he could be at some point at this rate. There is nothing Payton Pritchard does anymore that surprises me. Excuse me. Joe had a really good quote about it after the game that I asked him about, and he said, because Payton Pritchard stayed in with like the end of the bench guys, and I asked him, like, is that a decision he makes? Is that something you just do? And he said he loves to compete, or he just loves to compete. At the end of the day, I enjoy it, and teammates enjoy it. It's just fun watching him compete at a high level. He doesn't really play to a scoreboard. He just plays to compete, and that's a beautiful gift he has. I think that's the perfect way to describe Payton Pritchard. I mean, this dude is just he is the ultimate baller. He's the type of guy that you'd pick up off the sidelines in an LA Fitness run, and he would just score 92 like he literally did in a pro-am game. Payton Pritchard's absurd, and nobody should be surprised anymore.
Yeah, and again, he was part of the reason why the Celtics jumped out to such a big lead at half, despite looking kind of rough at certain points of this game. They turned the ball over 14 times. This was not a masterclass day from the Celtics by any means. They did shoot the three pretty well. They shot over 40%, which is always a pretty tough thing to beat if you're an opposing team. But this was by no means one of those Celtics wins where you felt like the other team never had a chance. This felt like a game that they could have lost early on, and they just quickly swept it under the rug, got back to business, and they looked like the Celtics that we all expect them to look like against the Pistons from the second quarter on. And you can even just tie that back even further until after that first substitution. But seriously, the stuff we're seeing from Payton Pritchard is unbelievable. His confidence is through the roof. Noah asked everybody that spoke to us tonight, which was just Joe and Peyton, about egos. And he was like, yeah, we all have to have egos, but the thing about egos is we have to learn to contain them. And it's a really interesting thing to think about because it's something that we discuss on here every once in a while. These guys are in the NBA. Like, they have been the best player on their team for the majority of their lives. To come in, especially somebody like Payton Pritchard, like at Oregon, he was a baller. On these summer league teams, he's been a baller. Like, he's always been someone that has that alpha dog mentality. But with the Celtics, he hasn't necessarily gotten the chance to show that. And a few years back, we even were hearing that he might want to be traded when Brogdon was here. And there was just like a plethora of guys in front of him in the rotation. And now he's in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. And it seems like a landslide because he's just so dominant. Like, I don't think there's anybody off the bench in the NBA that's doing what he's doing right now. You can trust him to do just about anything for the Celtics.
I will say, I get why Pritchard was asking for a trade now. Like, it is obvious now why Payton Pritchard was asking for a trade. He was incredible. I mean, he continues to be incredible. You can talk Luke quick too, because Luke was part of that group that you mentioned that sort of came in and shifted the game. He was really good, 5 of 5 from the field. Just felt like he was making a positive impact everywhere on the court. 7 rebounds, 12 points, 1 assist. He only played 12 minutes, but like, you felt those 12 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in this game, you don't really get the end result without that, right? Let me pull up the box score really quick. Sorry. I don't ever have it open. I have every other like game chart, play-by-play, all of that open. But Kornet, 5 of 5 from the field, hyper efficient. And I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. The tide turned when he started to play. He got in this game just immediately sinking the easiest buckets ever. He does the same thing every time. He is going to catch and finish at the rim. He's going to box out and set good screens, and he's going to protect the rim to the best of his ability. That is a can't-lose player. If he's in the game, he's going to deliver on those things no matter what. The usage is another question. He's not always going to see the ball in the paint. He's not always going to get those catches. But tonight they found him. They needed that, and he got himself going by getting an offensive rebound off a Pritchard miss. The Celtics were stalling. He went to work. He played physical. He created the extra possession and had an and one because of it. That's the kind of play, that's the kind of stuff that Joe was talking about when he talked about the character throughout the locker room, where there's an expectation that they're going to be prepared when their number is called. This was a nothing game coming into it, and it remains a nothing game, but it's a nothing game now because when he came in the game, the energy shifted. Like, this did not look like that. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it on this show. I'm sorry if you're listening and you're sick of me already. But it just was night and day after he started to get going.
I wasn't laughing because you didn't have the box score up. I was laughing because I had just read his entire stat line before you started talking.
I honestly did not hear who you said. I thought it was Kornet, but I wasn't positive. If you're listening to this and you rewind to when I started talking, I was like, yeah, couldn't have got the win without him. Like, just trying to stall as long as I could to figure out who played 12 minutes in this game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you were looking up the box score to see who I see.
I was like 95% sure, but I didn't want to be wrong out loud.
Gotcha.
Now I'm wrong, and everyone knows I'm wrong, and I don't think I recovered well. But just in case you were wondering why I sounded so stupid at the beginning of that, that's why.
Anyways, Jaylen Brown, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers. Only took 12 shots, was 6 of 12, 1 of 2 from 3. If you just look at that, it doesn't seem like he was amazing in this game, but he was really, really, really good in this game. With Jason Tatum out, you could just feel the fact that Jaylen Brown took on a role of, all right, I'm going to initiate the offense. I'm going to get by these guys, create good looks. And he only had 6 assists, but he created more than 6 good shots for the Celtics. Like, he was consistently getting in the lane, consistently driving by the Pistons, consistently creating looks for his teammates. And I mean, Joe was asked about it. I think he was a plus 30. Like you could see that as a result of how well he played. So he deserves a ton of credit for the way he played with Jason Tatum out, because this is the type of game that he wouldn't be able to come through with in the past, as in like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that now it's just like you feel comfortable letting him take over in these spots.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about him only taking 12 shots in this game too. He could have went out and been like, no Tatum, bet. let me cook, watch this. And we really didn't see a whole lot of that from him. He was a little sloppy. He turned the ball over 4 times. Like, it wasn't the prettiest game, the most under control game. But in terms of the decision making, the shot taking, those are also almost equally as important as the turnovers. The turnovers are going to be there with him, I think. It's not going to be a perfect science. But if you have him locked in, engaged, he's not settling for difficult shots against a team like the Pistons, that's going to put you in the best position to win basketball games. It's the reason why you can look at a box score like tonight and see such a widespread range of scoring where you have 6 guys in double figures. Not a lot. Well, nowadays, more teams have that because there's more scoring. But anytime you can get that many guys in double figures, it says a lot about the character of the team. JB Bickerstaff talked about it before the game. He said the Celtics might be the most unselfish team, or one of the most unselfish teams in the league's history. Like, the willingness to just play for the win, not worry about individual stats. Like, even Payton Pritchard after the game was like, I don't really think about the 6th man of the year. If I win, great, but just out here trying to make an impact and do what I can do to help the team win, which is the PR answer. But I truly feel like there's a sentiment of that throughout the team. It's always great when you can have all these guys involved, because when a team is this deep, you also have a lot of mouths to feed. We talked a lot about sacrifice last year, and it's very real. Jaylen sacrificed tonight. He could have came out and did all the things, but instead everybody ate. Everybody's going to go home feeling pretty good about themselves, and they're going to come ready to play in Washington on Sunday, probably for the half of the regular starters that play. Feels like a game that they might rest some guys.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, huge update. Papa Tom is going to start placing straight bets. He's going to put $1 on all of the legs as well, because he once again was one leg
Missed
short
by one. Your dad could be eating well.
Derrick White got 15 points. KP got 15 points. Pritchard made 3 threes. Derrick White made 3 threes. Celtics won the first half and full time. But Jaylen Brown did not get the 25 points. So he was one off. But he's going to start hitting the dollar bets on each of those just as a supplemental thing. Speaking of Derrick White, made all the threes. Was a fact. Shot 7 of 12 from 3. Only took 1-2. Didn't make it, but didn't matter because he was awesome. Started off relatively cold, too, and then he turned it around. 23 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I'm writing about Derrick White's shot blocking, excuse me. So I've become, like, super obsessed, which, like, watching the way he goes about his defense. It is baffling. And I asked JP Bickerstaff about it before the game. I'm like, how do you prepare your guys to game plan for a guy like that? And he goes, you really kind of can't. And I'm like, you absolutely fucking can. I didn't really get his answer because, like, the block that Derrick White got in this game was, I forget who it was. It might have been Cade Cunningham. I would need to go back and look, and I'll check here as I'm talking. The block he got in this game was someone was driving to the rim, and it was sort of in transition, and they saw Derrick White in front of them, and instead it was Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham it was Jaden Ivey, and Jaden Ivey goes up for a layup just with Derrick White on him, as if he had like Trae Young or like a guard. Like, it was the type of shot that if it was Wemby or a big man in front of him, he wouldn't have taken. But since it was Derrick White, he's like, oh, all right, I'm okay. How is that not on the scouting report? Like, Derrick White just sent his shit packing. Like, I don't get how that's not on the scouting report. So watching Derrick White play defense is so impressive because every single game, there's like 3 or 4 plays on top of those blocks where he makes an extra effort, and it's so clear that the shooter doesn't think that he's going to be able to get back in the play and contest the shot, and he completely throws off the rhythm. Like, watching Derrick White play defense might be my favorite thing to do. Period. Like not watching basketball, not like playing video games, like anything. Just like it is so fun.
I bet it would be fun for you to go to practice and just watch him do slides. Just watch him run defensive drills. That way it's hyper-focused defense. It doesn't even have to be a game where you have to wait for the spots.
If we were allowed to watch practice, I would fucking love that. But no, Derrick White's incredible. Obviously, all the threes were great, but just the defensive impact this guy has. I mean, he's got to be averaging like, I'm going to check now. He's got to be averaging like close to 3 stocks a night, which is just like ridiculous that he's doing this. And obviously, like I said on the last podcast, he's not like a complete defender. He's averaging, 2 stocks a night, 1 steal, 1 block a night. This guy rocks, man.
The defense never wavered with him. Like, he did have a bit of a rough patch here as they played that heavy stretch of games. Like, 3-point shot wasn't really there. Against Memphis, he struggled. Everybody struggled. Everybody's legs were tired in that game. They had a good game against Milwaukee the day before. They had to put a good effort forward to win it. Seeing the three-point shot come back is very exciting. It's not that you didn't think it was going to come back. You know that Derrick isn't going to forget how to shoot. But you never want to see the cold streak linger too long because it just might result in more losses than it would have if he just shot even average. Didn't have to be hot like he was today. But to see the confidence back is very good. It's good to see the resolve within the team. It's always great to see him playing defense no matter what. It's something we talked about for years with Tatum where if he wasn't scoring, sometimes other aspects of his game would waver. That hasn't happened for a long time, and it's clearly rubbed off on everybody else on the team where everybody seems to be giving their A game, their whole effort, no matter how their offensive night is going, how many shots they're taking. The Celtics are buzzing. Joe Mazzulla has them all committed to the mindset mentality, which is, I think, a double use of the word, but they really are locked in, even against the Pistons on a Thursday in December.
Even against the Pistons, is rude coming out of your mouth.
Well, I mean, before the season, Jaylen was like, yeah, when we play the Pistons, we're going to have Payton Pritchard be the main source of offense. Payton Pritchard took the most shots on the Celtics today and the most points.
Yeah. Kristaps Porzingis was all right. He had 8 of 18, 2 of 7, had 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. I thought he was pretty good for stretches and then sort of like cold for stretches. Not afraid to shoot the basketball. I'll say that. Kristaps will never be afraid to shoot. I don't know. He was fine. What'd you think of his game? I'm sort of like, he was just kind of all right.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. He's 8 of 18 in this game. He had a dunk blocked. He had another dunk that was like a double alley-oop from Jaylen that they nearly made, which would have been a sick way to start the game. Maybe they wouldn't have needed Luke Cornett to come in and change things for them. But overall, it was just like a whatever game. He did his job. I didn't think he was hurting them. 2 of 7 from 3 isn't exactly the clip you would hope that he shoots, but I think it's pretty clear he's still kind of getting his rhythm back. He's still getting used to playing big minutes. Like, it's tough to get back into an NBA rhythm when you haven't played since May, really. Like, yes, he played in the finals, but he wasn't doing regular Kristaps things except for that first quarter against Dallas in game 1. Like, I don't know. I think he's still got some room to grow. He's fine. Tonight was fine. He did what they needed him to do.
He wasn't awful. I'm not like concerned or anything. It was just kind of like he was out there game. Like he was fine. He did some good things. He did some meh things, and it was whatever. I think sneakily Drew Holiday was good, really good in this game. 12 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 of 8, 2 of 4. It's magic what Drew Holiday can do when he's put back into the role he's destined to play, especially after that Memphis game. So shout out to Drew. It wasn't anything where I was like noticing, oh my God, Drew Holiday's everywhere. Like he's doing everything. This is the best game of the season. But like he just did enough of everything that it was like, yeah, this is Drew is the glue, as corny as that may sound, which I didn't think about when it was coming out of my mouth. But he just kind of is.
Shame on the Pistons for not making him shoot 17 threes again. Clearly, they didn't watch on Saturday. Like, you think that they would have came out and been like, let's see if it works, at least a little.
I didn't think about that.
Like, in the first quarter, like, don't you think you would leave him open? Like, I think the Celtics were ready. Like, I don't think if the Pistons do that, it works again. But, like, you at least have to try. You have to try, right? Like it just like resulted in like one of the most newsworthy strategies that we've seen used against the Celtics since they put this group together. You're not going to do it again?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That is kind of funny though.
I mean, I respect JB for playing honorable hoops, like being like, all right, boys, we're going to defend straight up, like not going to try any gimmicky defenses against the Celtics. They're a team of honor. We're a team of honor. We're not going to wear white on the road, even though the Celtics wore green at home. Like Pistons at least deserve credit for that, right?
I will say, few teams worse at defending the pick and roll than the Pistons.
They didn't have Jaylen Brown
for such a core part of the game. Really not good at recognizing it and stopping it, or even slowing it down. Anyways, what else? Drew Peterson was fine. Any of the end of the bench, garbage time, whatever minute guys stand out to you? Al Horford. We can talk about Al Horford too quick. Al Horford was whatever. He played all right defense. He didn't make a shot. So he's just kind of like that. Yeah, it was a fine. Anyways, end of bench guys.
Jordan Walsh got early minutes in this one with no Sam Hauser. You knew it was going to be either him or Peterson. I think both of them got in pretty early, so there wasn't really a bias there. But Jordan Walsh didn't really like do anything that made you turn your head. He was like a C. Noah turned to me in the middle of the game, was like, "What'd you think of him in his first stint?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't notice him on defense, so that's like a good thing. If I notice someone getting killed on defense, they have to be pretty bad." He missed both of his threes pretty bad, but he did have a super cool dunk. Jordan Walsh analysis done.
Yeah, Jordan Walsh was fine. I thought Drew Peterson did some things that made me be like, oh, that's pretty fun. That's pretty fun.
He had
got
an Evan
caught up,
Turner move at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. What?
He dribbled to the elbow, did the behind the back, like where it was like an aggressive behind the back to stop, and then hit a midi. I felt like I watched Evan Turner. Like I was just transported back in time 10 years.
That's funny. I thought Drew Peterson got caught up a little bit at the end of the game in the let me run the show, let me do a little bit of everything, and it looked a little bad at times. But at the same time, he had a nice play out of the corner where he drove a closeout and then had a nice dish to Luke. And as soon as Drew Peterson did that, the only thing that went through my head was Grant Williams could not do that. That was like the first thing.
We've seen multiple role players on the Celtics do what Grant Williams could not do. Like Sam Hauser has become legitimately good at that.
I wonder how much of the Celtics' decisions to bring in these type of guys stems from, as much as we want 3-and-D, we need like a little bit more than that. Like we want guys who can play good defense, who can hit their threes, but can also put the ball on the floor. Like I think that's why the Celtics are so good, because I think one of the most underrated parts is everybody on the Celtics roster can pass, and the guys who can't are quickly learning. Neemish Queta, like everybody is learning how to pass, or is improving at passing, or is already a great passer, and that's weirdly enough, like not everybody on every NBA team can pass. A lot of these big guys, a lot of these wings who are 3-and-D, not good passers, and it's a very underrated skill. And Drew Peterson showed that off, so I thought he was pretty good. Xavier Tillman took a 3. Progress, we're getting there. It's a slow grind. Neemish Queta was fine. That he did some okay things at a block. 3 fouls is not ideal. J.D. Davison looked like he didn't do anything, but I don't know if you have anything else.
Devastating day for Springer to be sick. Really could have used him today.
Sure. I think that's it. You got anything else? I think that's just about does it for us.
For those wondering about the injuries of guys that didn't play, Springer is sick, so don't worry about that. Tatum, Joe said he would be fine. Unconcerning injury.
Yeah.
Sam Hauser, I think Joe at practice today said he was fine. So I wouldn't worry about either of those guys going forward. Hauser's thing is just an inner leg like tightness, really. So
I will say, Joe always says nothing about injuries, so take it all with a grain of salt. But I don't think anything is worthy of being concerned about. The only one that's like teetering on the edge for me is Hauser, because that's I don't really know. We'll see how that pans out moving forward. But
my opinion with what Joe said is I don't think he would have even said anything either way if he didn't feel that way. But I could be wrong, because he said Kristaps would be okay after the finals game.
Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if Joe just always says they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine, because that is almost always his go-to.
I mean, it's true usually, like barring catastrophe, they will be fine. Maybe
usually,
not tomorrow.
Exactly. So there's no real update, but I don't think anything is either of those are worthy of being worried. Anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe here on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, all that good stuff. Leave us reviews, follow us, and all the same. Take it out.
Hey, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, tell us what you thought of Celtics Pistons. I'm sure everybody's thrilled, except for the one guy on Twitter that was like, they're worse. They've been awful since they lost to the Warriors. They are 12-3, 13-3 now in that stretch. But yes, hit the bell. Jack and I are here every single day. New stuff, full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps like this one are up the morning after each game. Other videos in between are up on the channel to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple. If you just want the audio versions of what we're doing, it's there. Follow, leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very much. It helps the algorithm. So if you want more people to hear us, go ahead and rate us. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We'll be doing a podcast at some point in the next 2 days. So get those emails in now, hbtcpod @gmail.com. The socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook is the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is Jack's Money NBA. Mine is at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.